So I made a poll in YouTube community about what video you want to see me do next, and an overwhelming majority of you wanted to see the Obie'S tier list. So here it is. This is the official Obie'S tier list, finally publicized. And to commemorate the release of this tier list, I want to talk about the top 10 Iems that I've ever heard, ever, and is the number top 1 to 10 in my tier list. Let's talk about my top 10 favorite Iems of all time. So, starting at first, what is my preferences? Yes, obviously, you want to know what the basis of my preferences are for a tier list? Well, here it is. I like bright neutral stuff or warm and tactile stuff. And I like to combine both of them. I like really tactile sounding bass, and I really like sparkly, snappy, sharp treble. And you'll see very soon here what I mean by that. But starting with our number 10, my love, the HZ sound, Heart Mirror. Yes, I know pretty low in the spot in terms of like in my top 10, because obviously this is my favorite Iem of all time, but I want it to be fair. And yet still, this is my absolute favorite Iem of all time in terms of my personal biases, regardless of technical or tonal ability. This is my favorite Iem of all time. It is what introduced me to this audio journey that is wallet draining, and this wonderfully insane group of people that we call audiophiles. And I have to, you know, give some credit to Heart Mirror. It's an amazing bright neutral Iem. I still think it's quite unique in the current market, but I know it's not the most competitive, but I don't care. It is my favorite Iem of all time, and that's why it's at number 10. And at number 9, it is the Tangu XHB Wu Heyday. Yes, planar Iem from 2 years ago that I still think up to this day is one of the best planar Iems that you could get. It is amazingly tuned, really technical, but doesn't have that considerably audible metallic timbre or planar timbre that a lot of people attribute planar Iems to. This minimizes it and has an amazing sounding timbre. It is still genuinely one of the best planars you can get. Even back then at like $199, this is an amazing deal. It's probably much cheaper now, but it's absolutely amazing planar Iem, and just Iem in general. That's why it's at number 9. And at number 8, a little bit of a cutback in terms of brightness and technicality. This is the SOF Ears Studio 4, a very neutral, very natural sounding Iem that I really didn't expect to be all BA. It sounded so good and so natural in the timbre, and the vocal sounds so clean and warm and natural that, you know, who would have thought this is an all BA set? But that's just the magic of the Studio 4. It is amazingly tuned to neutrality that doesn't sound boring. It sounds so lively, yet so natural sounding. It is absolutely amazing, and it's only taken aback by one major flaw: air pressure buildup. I am quite sensitive to air pressure buildup, and the Studio 4 makes it kind of unbearable for me to listen to for long periods of time without discomfort because of that. So besides that, it's an amazing Iem, and that's why it's at number 8. And at number 7, very similar to the Studio 4 in presentation, but improves and is a little bit worse in some other ways, but I would still think this is just a tad bit above the Studio 4. This is the Lecture S15. And I know, Lecture S15 doesn't seem to be worthy of a top 10 for a lot of people, if not because of the build, because of the tuning, but I honestly think this is an amazing Iem. Very well tuned, very natural sounding, especially for a planar Iem. It is very lush, yet so fast and so tight that it doesn't feel like I'm missing out on anything, and it's just so detailed. It balances perfectly musicality and technicality. It's just a little bit barred by the fact that it's built like crap, and it's really not that good looking or comfortable. Well, it's kind of comfortable, but it's not good looking, and it's not well built. So, you know, that's Lecture for you. And at number 6, again, another little bit of a curveball similar to the S15, but this time this caters to my my guilty pleasure, the V-shaped sound signature. This is the Hibby Zeta. Yes, I know, a Hibby IEM being in my top 10 list. That's lunacy. Well, you know, this is just genuinely a very interesting, very fun, yet very well done V-shaped IEM. The bass is booming. It is popping. It is tactile. It's so fun. And the mids are recessed. What do you expect from a V-shape? But the treble, very cleanly done, very smooth, yet still very technical, very tight, and very transient. It's very clean, very detailed, very technical overall sounding set. But again, it's a V-shaped IEM, very guilty pleasure, and that's why it's at number 6. And finally, we have reached the top 5. The creme de la creme, the creme of the top of the tippity of the top of the morning to you laddies. At number 5, well, I wonder if you'd expect this, but it is basically the Heart Mirror Pro. I've said this in previous videos or previous posts. It's the SimGot EA500. This is a $79 IEM that really made me fall in love with the simple fact that this is basically the Heart Mirror Pro in every single way. The Heart Mirror is like bright neutral, a little bit shy on the bass, a little bit sharp on the treble, and the EA500 basically improves on every single aspect of the Heart Mirror. The bass, more tactile, more full, yet still keeping the tightness of the Heart Mirror. The mids, very full sounding still, very natural sounding, very clean. And the treble, oh my goodness, the treble, so good, so snappy, so sharp, so bright, so sparkly, so amazing, and I love it. Like, this is basically more Heart Mirror Pro than the actual Heart Mirror Pro, and that is a feat, especially for someone like me who craved the real Heart Mirror Pro after hearing the Heart Mirror Pro that the Heichi sound made back in the day. And I love this IEM so much. It's not the most technical, it's not the most, like, I guess, top of the line whatever, but for a $79 IEM, amazing, one of the best. And I would still recommend it even with the LM in the market right now. Genuinely, if you want something thicker, something more lush, the EA500 is still my personal choice. And at number 4, from the hella cheap to the hella expensive, the Let's Shcadens at 12. And I know, yes, it's a $2,000 IEM. Of course it has to be good, and admittedly it is great. This is basically I wouldn't say it's like the Heart Mirror like kind of tuning, but it is bright neutral with a lot of thickness on the low end, and I love this thing so much. And it kind of like re-established my love for bright neutral with a little bit of warmth type of IEM. The only thing is, value wise, you could get better IEMs. If this was $1,500 or less, this would be an insanely competitive IEM. But at $2,000, yeah, I don't think that big metal grade thing is going to justify $2,000 for this thing, at least in my opinion. And that's what makes it number 4. And at number 3, this is one of the best IEMs that I've heard last year, that up to now I still think is probably one of the best IEMs under $1,000 overall. That is the Dunu SA6 Mark II. And yes, I know you might say that, oh, put the Ultra there instead. The Mark II isn't as good as the Ultra. Well, I haven't heard the Ultra, so I can't really say anything about that. But for what I've tried, the SA6 Mark II, amazing IEM. One of the best bass boosted neutral IEMs that I've ever heard. Actually, this is like genuinely, it doesn't sound, again, it's just like a Studio 4. It doesn't sound like an all BA set. It's an all BA set, and yet it still sounds so clean, so good, so technical. And if the TA Audio Monarch Mark II is like the kilobuck killer, in my opinion, for me personally, this is the kilobuck killer. You know, I prefer this over the SA6 Mark II any day. No, SA6 Mark II, the TA Audio Monarch Mark II. I just fumbled there, but absolutely amazing IEM, wonderful IEM. I love this thing so much. Amazing mid-ranger. genuinely. But at number 2, this is the IEM that genuinely redefined my tastes in IEM. Because before trying this IEM, I just thought that I loved bright neutral stuff. I just like, you know, sparkly, bright stuff. That's all I wanted. But then when I heard the Anion Canon 2, this warm, lush, yet tactile sounding IEM that is unlike anything that I've heard before, my change in perspective, or my perspective changed completely. I love this thing so much. This is a complete contrast to the stuff that I usually like, and it's amazing. Genuinely amazing. I love this thing so much, and it's still one of my most listened to IEMs to date, just because of how smooth, warm, and technical this sounds without sounding unintrusive or incoherent at all. It's absolutely an amazing IEM, and that's why it's at number 2. But of course, we have one more slot, the number 1 slot. But before we go to the number 1 slot, let's talk about some honorable mentions. So, first honorable mention, the EA2000 by SimGod. The perfect bass, better than the Anion Canon 2. It's just kind of bored because of everything else. The mids and the treble are not the most ideal sounding in my opinion, but the bass completely saves this and makes this an amazingly bass-centric, well, not bass-centric, it's V-shaped, but like one of the best V-shaped IEMs for me in terms of bass quality and quantity combined. Next, the Heidi's MS5, the most disappointing hybrid IEM that I've heard. Genuinely extremely disappointing, very incoherent, very unbalanced. The only thing that saves this is good bass, and that's it. I don't like this IEM at all, and I don't think it deserves being around $300. It's not that good. Next, the KZT-Fi. Still arguably one of the best KZs that I've ever heard in terms of timbre, and is still one of my most listened to sets in a daily basis, just because of how fun or how nice it sounds. And I still swear by the D5 being the peak of KZ ever. And, you know, all metal shell, obviously. Who doesn't want all metal shell? And finally, let's talk about the number 1. This deserves a drum roll, so please give me some drum roll. Yes, drum roll. The SimGod EA1000. What a surprise, right? What a freaking surprise. The SimGod EA1000. The IEM that, if you've been following me, I've hyped every single time that I got a chance to talk about it. And it's pretty much well deserving. The SimGod EA1000 is basically everything that I want in an IEM and better. It is basically the heart mirror in the EA500 cranked up to 11 with roids and, I don't know, a bunch of magic to make this sound genuinely one of the best IEMs that I've ever heard ever. Super tactile, super tight, and yet super impactful bass. The mids, I'll be a little bit on the thin side, sounds great on my library of like vocal jazz like Leve, Samara Joy, Diana Krall, Nora Jones, perfect for those. And the treble, just absolutely perfect treble. Amazing treble. I love this thing so much. Genuinely, the A1000 is one of the best IEMs that I've heard, not only as a single DD, but ever. And that's what makes it number 1. And yeah, that's the tier list for you. Before I close this off, I just want to say this tier list is not meant to be taken seriously, like in the sense that this is something that you should follow on yourself. This is my personal preference and my personal tier list that I will most likely be changing over time. I like to switch stuff around. I hear another IEM, my preferences change, whatever, etc, etc. Well, not preferences, but my perspective change on them. They don't get worse, but they do get shifted down in tier list, obviously, because I'm gonna put them above. But this is something I just want to do for fun. Don't take it 100% seriously. Take it with a grain of salt. This is just something I like to do for fun. Okay, all right, we're good with that. Well, you know, that's the video. Thank you so much for watching my tier list. If you like this video, consider giving me a like. If you want to see more of my content, subscribe. It really helps out a lot. We have reached almost 1,300 subscribers. I just want to say thank you. I want to make a post for this because genuinely I'm so thankful for everyone that's been following me in this journey. You guys are amazing. And, you know, consider checking out my socials. I do update there a lot, much more now. Well, not really recently because I've been kind of busy, but I've been updating much more recently. So follow me there. Join Audio Notions, or check out Audio Notions. Join Forsaken Audio Files, and join the Discord. And with that, OB Audio out.